Good morning, everyone. I'm Deirdre Bosa, it's co-anchor of TechCheck, and we are here with another TechCheck live stream. I am thrilled to be joined by Brad Hoover, CEO of Grammarly. Good morning, Brad. Great to have you.
Hey, thank you, Deirdre. Great to be here.
So I'm going to let you describe in your own words. It's pretty self-explanatory from the name, but there may be viewers who haven't used it before. What is Grammarly? What is your sort of elevator pitch?
Sure. Yeah, just to start from the beginning, our mission is to improve lives by improving communication. And we do that with a broad-based digital writing assistant that helps people improve the quality and impact of their communication across more than 500,000 applications and websites. And as a result of that, they're able to communicate what they mean, be understood as they intend, and accomplish their writing goals and connect more deeply with others in their lives.
I know many who could use this tool, use it or could use it, including myself. As I was writing emails about this, I even spelt Grammarly wrong with an E instead of an A, which I feel like must happen more often than not.
It turns out, Deirdre, that's actually super common. And I found Grammarly by using the product myself. I'd make contextual spelling mistakes like it's, there, your, and I was looking for a person to check my writing. And this was back in late 2010. I found Grammarly software at that point, was blown away by the quality of the feedback. And we've evolved a lot since then. So we started with mechanics of writing, things like spelling and grammar in our early days, as our name suggests, and as you point out, but pretty quickly moved on to other points of feedback like clarity, consistency, conciseness, tone, inclusive language checks, vocabulary, all of which helps us communicate more effectively across, everything we talk about throughout our daily lives.
I just had a very random thought. Can you use Grammarly in dating apps? Not for myself, but I know that people judge on, a potential spouse or date based on their grammar when you talk about things like it's and yours. Are you guys in that space yet?
Yeah, so the neat thing about Grammarly is that it integrates via our integrations everywhere people write and communicate, including online. And so if someone is using a dating site and they have our extension, for instance, installed or our desktop applications, they'll get feedback, right there, and we can help them improve the quality and impact of their communication there, in their profile and chats, etc., just like we can everywhere else they write.
And perhaps higher stakes, things like work emails and that.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's neat about communication is it underpins everything we do in our lives. It's relevant to our personal lives, our professional lives, academic. There are literally thousands of different communication use cases, that are out there that we deal with throughout our daily lives. And Grammarly is able to help with each of those. And that's one of the things that makes the suite so powerful.
It's a great point. I should mention too, I do have my YouTube clip open. So for viewers, if you want to get a comment in, please, I'm watching the live chat, so feel free. Brad, I want to ask you about something that I call it the Dropbox curse. It started with this freemium model, much like Grammarly, got a ton of free users, has become a public company, but has really hasn't moved a lot as a public company. And that's because it's had trouble converting those free users to paid users. I know that you guys have 30 million daily users. How many of those are paid?
Sure. Yeah. So we don't release statistics on our revenues or paying user base, but what I can tell you, Deirdre, is that, ultimately we're in a huge market. What we're building here is relevant to just about everyone. Today, of course, we're focused on those who write in English. But as time goes on and we continue to build Grammarly, someday we hope to help everyone. And communication is also foundational to how we live our lives and what we do. It's certainly relevant at work, but it's also relevant in many personal situations that you point out earlier. And so the need for Grammarly is very big. And as a result, not only do we have a lot of free users, but we also have quite a few paying users who have allowed us to build a very sizable business. Mm-hmm. And also a profitable business. So we've been profitable and cash flow positive almost since day one. And that speaks to both the size of the market that we're in and the strength of the business that we're building here.
We love to hear about profitable unicorns, Brad, as someone who's covered, the gig economy, IPOs over the last few years. An important point. So yes, the total addressable market is huge, but the total addressable market was huge for cloud storage as well. And one of the problems that a freemium model like Dropbox faced was that, some of the tech giants got interested in the space and started to develop more and more products. And I know that Grammarly uses artificial intelligence and machine learning for its product, but Microsoft and Google are also very good at these next generation technologies. How do you make your product compelling in the enterprise space, if you see greater competition from them as well in the consumer space. You got Microsoft and Google.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's fascinating because as we build this industry, the industry of communication assistants, we're seeing a lot of point solutions emerge. And at the end of the day, Grammarly is the only application that provides kind of broad-based digital communication assistance across not just the mechanics of writing things like spelling and grammar, but also clarity, consistency, conciseness, tone, inclusive language checks, vocabulary use, everything necessary to actually deliver our messages as intended and accomplish our goals. And that really separates Grammarly in terms of the intelligence that's under the hood. At the same time, we want to make sure that is available everywhere people communicate and connect. And we do that through our various integrations instead of being constrained to a certain walled garden or suite or OS, for instance. Our users can benefit from Grammarly and get that personalized, high quality, consistent experience everywhere they write and communicate. And that's all on a solid foundation of privacy and security. We align our business model with our end users. We have a very intimate application. And so we're only paid by our end users. And I think for many applications, people may be okay with an ad-based application, but in our case, they recognize the fact this is an intimate application, and they really value the fact that our incentives are completely aligned. Right. The other thing I would highlight is that we want to put our users in the driver's seat there. We want to make sure they understand the information that we have and can determine how that's used to help them. And then last, from a security perspective, we've invested very, very heavily in enterprise-grade security that serves the most stringent of industries, including healthcare. We're HIPAA compliant, for instance. And so our security posture also provides us with a very unique position in the ecosystem as well.
Brad, have you guys started moving into the enterprise space? Is that something that you want to do? Do you have existing customers there?
We have, yes, and we have quite a few. So interestingly, more than 2/3 of Grammarly's individual users also use Grammarly for work. And so this gives us an opportunity to work with those users to help their teams, their functions, their BUs, their entire companies, wall to wall. Grammarly's relevant to just about every function. And the larger a company gets, the more communication happens, the more complex that communication is in many cases. And so the need for Grammarly is even higher there. And that's why we've seen our large dollar value accounts grow very rapidly over last year, more than 250% in terms of the number of customers.
That's interesting. So are you seeing that conversion from the employee level, bringing it to their organizations? And that's sort of how your marketing works?
Yeah, very much so. So we also work directly with organizations that reach out to us, but oftentimes in more than 2/3 of the Forbes 2000, for instance, we have existing Grammarly users, and they want to bring Grammarly into their work environment to help not just themselves, but their team members and the company overall. And I think when companies understand the power of our product, the importance of communication, and the strength of our security posture, they're very hungry to integrate Grammarly. We've been seeing that since we started our business focus about 2 years ago.
Developers is another segment that you guys are looking at. I know that you've announced Grammarly for developers. What's the feedback been so far? And this is really fascinating. When I think about comparisons, I think about how Stripe enabled, sort of with a few lines of code, payment systems for other websites. You guys are essentially doing something similar for grammar using machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's a really great comparison, actually. In fact, we have our own SDK. And the idea is that there are hundreds of thousands, millions of applications and websites out there that have a writing component. And these applications understand that writing, as a result, and communication that enables is a key piece of the value that they provide to their end users. And yet doing this is really difficult. And this is what Grammarly's been doing for over a decade. So what we wanted to do, based on requests from many of these developers, is essentially give them an opportunity to integrate Grammarly's feedback directly into their applications to help all of their end users, not just their end users that use Grammarly today. And so we've done that through Grammarly for developers. It's an SDK that can be dropped into these applications and provide our functionality pretty much out of the box there.
Now, Grammarly is all about the written word, but as we're moving into more voice-enabled communication, we rely more on our voice assistants like Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant. And I hate to use the word metaverse, but as we look at a world where we're communicating more in the metaverse, can Grammarly be a player here?
Absolutely. Yes, the technology that we're developing is extensible to other modes. So just as an example, there's a tool that we developed for fun internally, which we call Zoomerly, which essentially takes a Zoom transcript, applies our technology pretty much out of the box, and after the meeting sends everyone involved in the conversation feedback on what they did great from a communication perspective and what they could do better. And what's unique about that is that not only is it powerful, but it essentially uses the technology that we built up over the last decade to provide this functionality in a new mode. And so as we continue to expand Grammarly, there will be opportunities in the future to move beyond written communication, including into voice.
Right. Now, let's talk about this latest round of funding. It's kind of eye-popping. I mean, you guys just achieved unicorn status a few years ago. Now you are one of the top 10 largest private companies in the country. Why raise money now? What do you think right now about the state of private markets? We've been talking about how there's just so much money. Talk about the investors that you chose as well and what you want to do with this cash raised.
Sure. Yeah, so this is our third funding. We've done 2 others. All 3 were growth rounds. And the goal in this round is actually similar to the prior 2, which is, first off, we're looking for great partners on this journey. And we feel really fortunate to have Bailey Gifford and various accounts and funds managed by BlackRock as new partners in this round, in addition to others. And that matters because, as we, for instance, go into organizations, work with partners, as we've just talked about, among other things, these investors can be very helpful in us both thinking through that and working, with various other institutions. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, we want to do this in a way that enables us to continue controlling our destiny. Mm-hmm. And so, make sure that we have, kind of very fair and clean terms there. And valuation was really on the third thing that we focused on. So we felt very fortunate to be able to do this round. We raised over $200 million at a 13 billion valuation. And what we think that's going to help us with collectively is kind of getting the word out about the opportunity Grammarly has. This valuation speaks to the scale of the category that we're building, our leadership position within it, and the importance of our mission. People learn to communicate from an early age. They need help with that. We're at this exciting point in time where we can use technology of various sorts to actually empower people to communicate and connect in ways that they haven't been able to in the past. And that's why people use Grammarly, and that's the promise of our future. So, as we get the word out, as we help more and more people, that will also help get the word out to potential employees. And we're growing rapidly, and this will help us build our team as well, Deirdre.
You said something interesting there at the beginning of your response. The money raised sort of help you determine and build out your destiny. I wonder, what is that? I know you probably can't say anything specific about an IPO, but is that something that's really important to you? Is that a milestone that you want to reach? I would think that there must be some approaches in terms of SPACs or acquisitions, but what is important, the end game, or sort of not the end game, but the future as a public company, or not?
Sure. Yeah. So I think, our future is very much focused on building a tool set that, enables people to not only communicate effectively, but understand how those messages landed, understand, how they can improve that, understand how to accomplish their goals in a more effective way, to connect with others at a deeper level, all things that kind of determine the quality of our day-to-day lives together. And that's really our focus. It's been that way from the beginning, and it'll be that way going forward. Funding events are, kind of stair steps along that journey. And in addition to providing some validation, they can provide added help, as I mentioned, funds, et cetera. And in the case of, this round and future rounds, we would look at an IPO similar to any other funding round. Of course, it is a little different when you're a public company. But, as we look to the future, at some point, an IPO is a possibility. It's not something that we are planning for right now. But we would just look at that as another funding round, as we've looked at this one in prior rounds.
When you say it's a possibility, though, does that mean that it's an important milestone for you, or would you consider a deal in which you became part of a larger organization, perhaps one that I mentioned at the start, a Google or a Microsoft?
Yeah. So we very much believe that we have an opportunity to build a new category here. And, frankly, we're enjoying the journey very much. I think we have an incredible team. We're very thankful to be able to help, tens of millions of people around the world every day. And as a result, we have no interest in anything other than focusing on the long term and maintaining our status as an independent company.
All right. Well, Brad, it's been wonderful to talk to you. Can't wait to continue to see what you guys do. Thank you so much for being with us on TechCheck.
Yeah, thank you, Deirdre. Really appreciate the time.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.